Since 2016, the first administration for President Trump, there has been question about NATO alliance with the European and the presence of America in the Europe and regional areas. There has been discussion from Democrat, from Republican. However, after World War II, when the alliance that formed, in particular, benefited Germany and Japan. Well, the Germany had a special place, particularly with regard to the war, and then joining the World War II by Japan, and the structure of the Japanese society being a very homogeneous, made them two desirable location and nation to benefit from the NATO alliances. Germany, by limitation in their militarization, as well as the Japan, benefited the most, and they also experienced a huge improvement in their social structures, and also in their advancement with regard to the industries, art, economy, and many other issues. Since 1945 and formation of the NATO to 2026, most of the elements, most of the structures, and most of the adversaries that existed in Europe and across the globe has changed significantly. Although the presence of Russia and China remained as a main adversarial forces and powers, however, separation of the Russian satellite and the Eastern Plateau has made this equation a little bit different. Now we need, and it appears that the Western country, Europe, and in particular United States, needs to look east to the Poland. Poland has a very special place in Europe, in particularly with the border with Russia and many Eastern Plateau, Lithuania, and also being neighbor to the west east part of the Europe, give it a special location and a special importance. And also the European countries during the Ukraine war demonstrated that they lack security in that portion of the eastern exposure, although that eastern exposure also creates significant risk not only to the Europe but also to the security of the United States. In any rate, importance of the NATO, and in particular importance of the German with regard to the NATO and accessibility to the aerospace toward Stuttgart and other component of the NATO, makes the Germany a major component of the NATO. However, the recent event in the Middle East and war in Iran created some bad taste in the mouth of American, in particular Mr. Trump, which is rightfully he is upset, and Americans are upset about that. In any rate, there is no doubt that the America must remain within NATO alliances and support NATO alliances. And also there has been lots of improvement, in particularly increasing the commitment by the European country from 2% to 3.5 within uh, next few years or many years, and then another 1.5%, which going to be accomplished by many countries. But the lack of cooperation, although was within the scope of the NATO with regard to the Article 5, created some sort of question that when you need alliances, you might not need for them to participate if they cannot invoke the Article 5, but they cannot deny supporting airspace or passage or similar things that England didn't do or Germany did not fulfill. But the American must remember that in September 11, the European country and NATO invoked the Article 5 with fully presence in number of the areas, Pacific and Mediterraneans, in the Atlantics, and also supporting America. Also, with regard to the Iraq, also the NATO had significant presence, although majority of the expenses and casualty was by American, although the European also supported immensely, which is more important and overall should be appreciative. The total casualty was more than or around 3,500. Of those, two-thirds were American. So American also and always committed more than European. But some realignment is needed, particularly willingness of the Poland country and government to contribute with regard to the infrastructures. And then the question is, should European also support this, which I believe they are, and the American also might support this. The American are moving 5,000 troops from Germany, not necessarily going to Poland, but could be some rearrangement and reassignment. And this should come some sort of warning to the Europe and to NATO that although the presence of America for American sake is very important, but also the alliance, the NATO alliances, is vital to the existence of the Europe. Regardless, also the Europe must remember after World War II in 1945, with huge presence and commitment by the United States, the European country, in particular Germany, achieved their prosperity over the course of past more than 70 years. So that's very important. Also, Americans should be aware of this. European must appreciate this, but we do need some sort of realignment and rearrangement and recommitment.